It's your girl, the Grown Woman Gamer, and today I'm coming at you to talk about the Nets-Celtics series after the disappointing loss the Nets had to the Celtics in Game 3. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the Brooklyn Nets have struggled immensely against amazing defensive and offensive performances from the Boston Celtics. It goes without saying that the Brooklyn Nets have been outperformed, outplayed, and outcoached. We can see Jason Tatum blooming before our very eyes into the NBA's preeminent superstar. You can see Tatum taking more of a leadership role and coming into his own. I have talked about this moment occurring in legendary basketball players' careers. That moment when they realize their power and that they're able to combine their physical and mental ability to execute more like a mercenary. Ime Udoka has done what Brad Stevens wasn't able to do. And kudos to Brad Stevens for recognizing that he needed to pass the baton to someone else. Ime Udoka has helped Jason Tatum come out of his shell. Jason Tatum is playing basketball with a level of confidence and passion that matches his talent now. He is making big waves, and the Celtics, based on what I have seen so far, are the team to beat this postseason, and it's largely due to their suffocating defense. The Celtics have done a tremendous job of limiting Kevin Durant on offense with smart physical play. I said this in a previous video, but I'll say it again. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving look absolutely exhausted. Some people are citing the fact that Kyrie is participating in Ramadan, a period of fasting observed by Muslims every year all over the world. Others have pointed out that Jaylen Brown is also observing Ramadan this year, and it's not affecting him in the same way. For this reason, and because other players like the great Hakeem Olajuwon fasted as well, they just don't accept that Kyrie Irving may be tired from not eating or drinking water during sunlight hours as a reasonable excuse for lackluster play on the court. Personally, I think this is way too muddy a subject to delve into because we are talking about someone's religious practices, and we can't realistically determine from person to person how much fasting might impact their ability to exert themselves in an NBA basketball game. But one thing that is for certain is that the Brooklyn Nets do not have the same level of physical conditioning that the Celtics do. And even if Kyrie Irving wasn't fasting, I don't know if the outcome would be much different. The other question that I have to ask is whether or not getting swept by the Boston Celtics would tarnish Kevin Durant's somewhat impeccable legacy. Now, don't go getting all triggered by the word impeccable here. I fully understand that Kevin Durant has had what could be deemed failures, not only in Oklahoma City, but now also for the last 3 years in Brooklyn. Especially if we go back to last year when Kevin Durant's toe was on the line in that deciding game against the Bucks. But overall, most people give Kevin Durant way more leeway when things don't go right than they do with LeBron James. Most people attribute the failures in Oklahoma City to Russell Westbrook, and people attribute the disappointing season the Nets have had during the KD era to a lack of key player availability due to injuries. They question KD's desire to play with Kyrie, but they don't crucify him in the same way they crucify LeBron for choosing Russell Westbrook over DeMar DeRozan. Up until now, they haven't really questioned KD's desire to have Steve Nash as a coach, a guy who was an amazing point guard, one of the best court generals that I've ever seen, a tremendous passer. Steve Nash was a first ballot Hall of Famer with the level of play that he brought to the court, but he does not have any coaching experience, so a lot of people question whether or not he should even have that position. But for the most part, Kevin Durant during his career has gone unscathed. But in this situation, it is impossible to hold Kevin Durant completely blameless. I'm not of the opinion that we should crucify any player for any choice that they make, and I hate how people do that to LeBron James. But I can't sit here and pretend like I don't understand how people are pointing out that Kevin Durant chose a chaotic situation with Kyrie Irving over a much more stable situation with the Golden State Warriors. And maybe we're being prisoners of the moment, but at this moment right now, it's hard to fully understand choosing Kyrie Irving over Stephen Curry. Needless to say, Steve Nash might be coaching his last game tonight. It is also hard to imagine the Nets giving Kyrie Irving this massive contract extension worth darn near $250 million. I'm also going to jump out there and say something that no one else has said. I believe that they are going to indeed trade Ben Simmons in the offseason. You heard it here first. I don't believe the Nets are truly committed to Ben Simmons, and I think the postseason will bear that out. It is also very possible that Kyrie Irving will get traded. The Kyrie Irving Kevin Durant experiment is over if the Nets get swept. Even if it is a gentleman's sweep, Nets management has to consider moving off of Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons if they can get more reliable players in the trade. You can see Kevin Durant's frustration, and because
he really puts a lot into his game, I believe he will bounce back regardless of the outcome of this series. Hopefully he'll take the summer to reassess, figure some things out as far as what he can do for himself to continue to be effective in what is now a much more competitive Eastern Conference. I personally hope that involves him bulking up a little bit if he can. I recognize that some guys just aren't able to gain weight, especially guys with Kevin Durant's body type, but there has to be a way for him to give himself a little bit more of a chance against players that are physically stronger than he is. Kevin Durant has been exposed in this series against the Celtics, and other teams are going to use the same strategy against him next year. You know, it's funny because I did predict that the Nets would win this series in 6 games, and I was dead wrong. I'm a woman about mine, I can admit it. But what I did say that turned out to be true is that Kevin Durant's weakness was his lack of physical strength, and that teams could take advantage of him when they're on offense when he gets matched up against players that are bigger and stronger than he is. What I never imagined is that same strategy would shut him down when he's on offense, because I've never seen anyone mute Kevin Durant's play in the way the Celtics have, and it is simply remarkable. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you think the Nets getting swept by the Boston Celtics will tarnish Kevin Durant's legacy or his legend? Do you agree with me that the Brooklyn Nets are going to trade Ben Simmons in the offseason and maybe even Kyrie? Will Steve Nash still be the coach of the Brooklyn Nets next season? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Comment whether you agree with me or not. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to share if you care, and I'm out.